LCBN television broadcasts 24/7 on UK Freeview Channel 271, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, Apple TV, Google TV, See Love World, LCBNTV.com, LifeComTV.com.
Hello, and welcome to Limitless, the show that promises to give you a bit of love and inspiration on a Saturday morning. And of course, it is Saturday. It's just past 10 o'clock, and you are very welcome to the show. And of course, as usual, we have some very, very interesting guests, and today is no exception. We have a lady on the show today who is really, really going to inspire you. She is full of so much energy and strength, and she really is a true inspiration in the sense that she's unstoppable, unmovable, and unshakable. And the things that she has achieved in her life is really worth taking note of. Please welcome my guest, Sheree Dubois.
Hi.
Welcome, Sheree. Welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine. It's all ours. Now, the thing is, you know that you've done so much. You're such an inspiration to me and a lot of other people, actually. But the mere fact that, it's quite difficult for me. It was difficult for me to find an actual label for you. You're labelless.
Yes.
You're limitless.
It's impossible to put me in a box. I tell you that much for sure.
Most definitely. I thought to myself, okay, she's a fantastic singer. She's an actress. She's a dancer. She's a producer. She's a composer, lyricist. Which one would you start? So, you're just a creative being, aren't you?
Yes, exactly that. I was just about to say that's the one thing I think I found the hardest my whole life is trying to figure out what category do I fall under. And then I realized there really isn't one. It would be a creative artist or a creative entrepreneur. I just love creating. And there's many, many elements of that are involved in this industry and in my career. So yeah it's creative artist, as you will.
No, I love it.
Different hats,
I know, but that's life, isn't it?
Yes.
We all have to wear different hats.
Yes.
We have at different times in our lives. But I think it's the problem I think that a lot of people do face is the fact that either they're trying to put themselves in a box or society is trying to put themselves in the back box. Either way you look at it is the same thing.
Yes.
But what I love about you, because in reality, we're all made by a creative God. The creator made us in his image. So we are all creative. But I love the fact that you've embraced that.
Yes.
You've identified that and you've ran with that because you've done so many things.
Thank you.
And you've done them so well. So the question is this: how did you start? Where did it all start from? Let's go to the very beginning.
You'll have to ask my mom.
A very good place to start. Let's go.
Well, at the very beginning, from what I can remember, so I have a lot of home videos from when I was really little.
Yeah.
And I was always singing, dancing, playing around. And my family's from St. Lucia in Jamaica, so it was a lot of soca and zouk and just always active. And my mum always says that I was just hyperactive. I always had energy. She couldn't get me to sleep. I was just always having energy. I always wanted to do something, was pretending to phone people, was creating things, even as a child at 3 years old, singing along, dancing along, pushing the pram with the doll in it and still dancing. So it actually started, I think that was what I would call my core connection, was music. Because it's the one thing that I always felt the most connected to. And so I always used to sing in the back of the car along to the songs playing on the radio and stuff like that. And then my mum started to take me to classes mainly for dance, actually, funny enough. But yeah, I just have always sang. And it's not until I was a little bit older, I went to Brit school and studied music there, and then I continued, and then I started teaching, and then it just all unfolded. Did a lot of West End shows and little shows when I was younger, and just carried
So
on.
you had formal education, of course, in the Brit School, which is
Yes.
the famous school of music performance, and
Yeah.
But before that, did you perform? Did you actually go out and do it?
Yeah, I did. When I was about 10, I think I did one of my first shows at London Palladium, and Hackney Empire. You're gonna make me go through my CV now.
London Palladium. London
Yeah.
Palladium. That's where they used to have the talent shows, isn't it?
Yes, and Sunday Night Live was one of them that we've done, actually. With
Oh
Ted
my
Rogers.
goodness. I used to watch that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh my gosh. I may have even have seen you then.
Maybe as a little kid, yeah, singing with them.
That's awesome. That is a really nerve-wracking experience. And so for you to have done that, that's really good stuff.
Thank you. It wasn't easy.
Yeah. Oh,
I had a lot
wow.
of challenges as a kid, but I found the more I got told no, the more I was determined to kind of make it a yes, or make my own yeses without being told.
Where did that resilience come from? Because that's the thing that you really need in this industry. You need to be tough. You need to be resilient in every way. So where did that stem from then in your life?
Oh, well, I think I saw a lot of challenges as a child, even with my parents. My dad was ill when I was little at one point, and I think those things made me have to stay strong. I didn't have another option. I don't know what it means to give up. So even when you feel like you really want to, something in my spirit never allows me to stop. And that fire is always burning. I always say, no matter how dim the light gets of the candle, almost like it can get dim sometimes, but it is always burning. It's always there. And that part kept me going, and that part kept me determined to achieve something in my life. And I wanted to kind of change the way things had gone previously, and change my destiny, and change what I'd gone through, and turn it into something positive, or turn it into the strength that I need, even to this day, because we will have challenges. We're human beings, right? We go through things all the time. But one thing that always kept me going was one scripture from the Bible, I must say, actually, which was Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1, which is all about faith, which is faith is being sure of what we hope for and certain of what we do not see. And that, to me, has been a little bit of a mantra for me in different times, hard times in my life, as I keep going on and keep going forward. I'm always reminded to have faith in myself, have faith in others, have faith in the Lord, have faith in everything. And that it works, because at the end of the day, I'm still here. I'm still going. The things that seemed almost impossible before are definitely not. They're definitely possible. So it changed my perception of a lot of things. And that made me basically just keep going even to now. That's
absolutely awesome. Yeah, that's it. That's it, isn't really? You got to have faith in yourself, and you've got to know that irrespective of what circumstances come your way. But I think that faith actually comes from something innate, something inside that you must have had some kind of vision. Did you ever have any sort of like a vision of did you see yourself in any way at all? Anything visual or any? Yeah,
I did actually. I don't know how to explain it. I just always knew there was something more to do. Even as a kid, I always knew there was something more to do, and I knew that there were different walks of life to take. And I remember in school being the very particular the point where I literally had to make decisions. When you're doing GCSEs and picking your subjects and all of that. I was always very interested in forensics and law, which is so random.
Wow, very different. Very.
I know. There's just things that spark my mind, and liking to help people. In law, it was like, well, there's so much injustice. Maybe I should be a lawyer and I can help people, etc. My mom works in law as well, and stuff like that. So I was very much in that mind, but at the same time, my spirit said, nope, your core is a creator. You are so creative. If you are not doing something creative, you are going to be very miserable. So, so I decided to choose the path that was seemingly harder in terms of it's not your conventional path. It's not consistent a lot of the time. When you're self-employed or when you're working for yourself, you have a lot of other things to think about. A lot of people say, no, go the other way, do that. You can get your mortgage that way. And I go, no, but I want to live happily. So I chose that way, which gave me a lot of struggles, but actually it's been so worth it. And I always say, if anything, God forbid, if anything ever happened, at least I know every day I'm doing what I was put on this earth to do. I'm helping other people. I love teaching and performing and singing. So yeah, I'm just happy with that.
And that's the thing, isn't it? Performing arts is very crowded. And often I think that's what it's crowded with people. And you know, it's like one person shouting, you know, look at me, look at me, look at me. So you really have to be exceptional to be able to stand out from the crowd in an environment like that. 100%. You know, did that ever put you off? Did you ever think, you know, or did you ever hear people speaking like that? Because of the voices, isn't it? Is the voice? It's not even internal; it's external. Mm-hmm.
It is. I'm going to be very honest with you. I got told things at young ages that I don't think any child should have to hear. Or it's just it's so. For example, I used to go to castings and get told, "Oh, your voice is brilliant, but you're too fat for this role." Or,
oh my goodness.
Yeah. Oh, they when I say that this industry will give you a thick skin, there's no bars held. You know, everyone's very much straightforward. And I mean, I have a bit of that about me now also, which is probably where it comes from. But I was told no a lot. I was too tall, because I was tall when I was younger until I stopped growing. I was too big, or I wasn't the right complexion, or my hair wasn't right, or there's so many racial issues, size issues, and so many people saying no. And I just, the more someone told me no, the more I wanted to prove them wrong.
Yes. I love it. I love it. Good. Yeah, that's good. So, okay, so you're a singer, you're a dancer, you're a producer. Which dancing came first, didn't it? That was your first thing, was it? Singing, and then...
I'd say singing came first, actually. But in terms of training and everything else, it was dance. Music, I kind of pretty much self-taught myself how to play the guitar, the piano, singing, all of that sort of stuff. But dancing, I was like taking classes, ballet, tap, jazz, qualified to dance.
Ballet. Wow. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Do you still do any of that now then? Do you do that on a regular basis? Something that...
My arthritis tries to let me not do it, but I do at home. I don't do it as a dancer anymore, of course, but I do. It does become apparent in my job, and sometimes in theatre shows you have to do choreography, or it's just I stay limber. I keep stretching. I can still do the splits and certain things.
Yes,
exactly. Which my size can say, so I like to try and keep that, you know.
Oh, that's wonderful. I don't even know if I could still do all that sort of stuff. I'd be close to it. Like, music was your first love. Singing is your first. I've heard you sing. You're absolutely fine. I think that we should hear a little bit of you singing, doing a bit of freestyle now. Okay, so that people can get a rough idea of your sound and your vibe. So this is.
No, carry on.
Okay, so this is Sheree Dubois freestyling. Enjoy.
Hi. Well, I was gonna freestyle. I think I might sing a little verse actually. From a song.
No, I was going to go to the one that you did. You know, the one that you did.
Yes,
but you're free to perform now if you want.
No. Actually, please do play the clip and enjoy.
Okay, enjoy, everyone. Awesome, 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 awesome.
Oh, it makes me laugh every time.
You know, I really like the part where you said, I didn't even write a song. I was like, now you know that that's like off the cuff.
It was completely off the cuff. That was like one of my last days in LA.
Yeah.
At a really nice spot actually that was run by Dwayne Martin and Tisha Campbell at the time, Zen Lounge. And they had live nights and musicians would just get up and one of the hosts was like, Sheree, sing something. I was like, she's like, just sing something. So I was like, okay. So
I love those. I love those where it's just everything is just like, you know, just anything goes. You just get up, sing, and we can just feel your vibe in its rawest form. I know that you perform to people like Alicia Keys and like Tandy Newton and Westlife. You perform to celebrities. You know, this is no ordinary musician. This is like performer to the greats. You know. You know, so you know you've been there. You've been, and in fact, I read that somebody said that you even sounded. I mean, you know, they said better than Beyonce. Was that described you as better than Beyonce? How did you feel when you hear a thing like that? Oh my goodness!
I had to read about 8 times to think it was real. It was actually, they were talking about myself and one of my colleagues, my co-stars in one of the shows, because we're the 2 main singers in the show, female singers, and that was from What's on Stage. They'd come and reviewed it, and they'd written better than Beyonce Divas, and I was like, well, that is a compliment to have, a massive compliment to have, and it's just really nice to see that what you're doing, even when you're doing what you're doing, you don't realize who is always watching or who is taking note, or who you're affecting, or who you're inspiring. And so to see that in press was just really, really, really awesome, to be honest. That's like one of the best comments I think I've ever had as a compliment, should I say.
Yeah, that's really really good. Okay, so they've now named you better than Beyonce, performed to all the stars, multi-talented artist. What next? You know what I really liked about you specifically was the fact that quite a few of your works deal with the mind. You know, you look into reality, and you're breaking limitations in the sense where you're challenging the natural norm, the perspective that people tend to buy into as to how should we look, how should we sound, you know, following the crowd and trying to be like a clone. And I like that because, you know, you've literally defined all the odds, and it's sort of like said to yourself, well, hang on a sec. It doesn't matter what size I am. It doesn't matter how I look or any of that kind of thing. Now, tell me about the challenges that you've had, the real ones, not these joking ones that everybody else falls to the side, because it obviously doesn't affect you. But which ones have affected you, and how have you been able to break those limitations in your life to become the champion that you are today?
Oh, wow. Well, again, so many. I think when I was 15, I was actually a trampolinist. I was training for trampolining, and I'd won a gold medal the year before. So my coach was very much so like, come on, let's do this next year. And I went training, and I had an accident, and I ripped all of my ligaments in half in one of my legs. And that made me have to take time out to recover. I got told I might not walk properly again the same because I might have a limp. I got told I might not dance again. I got told a lot of things. I got told. I refused. I went to class with my crutches.
Wow. I
used to sit there and just watch. And I obviously couldn't do anything. I wasn't allowed to anyway. And my knee was in a brace and stuff. And I used to watch, and I used to sit there and watch and say, do you know what? I'm going to get this. I'm going to learn this. I'm going to learn this. And so I started learning the routine opposite, which is really hard. And when the day I got off my crutches, I went to class. And I was just so determined to not let anything stop me. But that got me really down for a while. It really did. Yeah. Again, some of the challenges I faced growing up also were things that were always playing on my mind, or being told you're too fat to do everything was like, who told you? Why can you not be big and do that? Why is it the norm to not look this way? Why is it not accepted in our society? Why are all the directors looking past amazing talent all the time just because of how they look, or just because of their size, or just because of their skin color, or just because of, there's always something. So the accident for me put a lot of things in perspective for me, to really have to overcome an injury that was almost impossible to overcome according to some, and that made me just keep going. And as I started dancing after my injury, I actually got better than I was before the injury. So that showed me what is possible. I still don't have a ligament in my right knee now, like up to this day. But I can still do stuff that I was always told that I couldn't do, you know?
That's amazing. Really amazing, the fact that sheer willpower and determination propelled you to be even better than what you were before.
Yeah, and that's what I've learned.
That's obvious, isn't it, now that it's all in the mind?
It is. It's so important, and it saddens me that there's so many young people even today that because of someone telling them they can't do something, they lose belief in themselves. And that can spiral into so many different things, and having other issues and mental issues and anxiety, and not actually being able to step into the light that they do have and do what they need to do. Because with one person on a bad day, or one person that doesn't have the greatest perspective of life, can tarnish someone else's dream, and can tarnish their determination just from words. So that's why it's so important to keep our minds strong and feed ourselves.
Well, this is why going to the word of God, the word of truth, the gospel, the good news, the one that tells us everything about who we are, because you can hear so much negativity, and sometimes people don't always mean it because they have an actual typecast that they want for that particular role or whatever, or it could just be spite, or it could be racism, it could be a numerous number of things. But it affects people. That's the point I'm trying to make. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But you, thank goodness that you had that experience of overcoming the pain and the limitations in your structure to be able to be a better dancer, because that stood you in good stead, didn't it? When rejection came.
Yeah, it did.
And you know, for a young girl to be thinking about all these things at that age as to why? Some people will just curl up and cry and never recover, or take them ages. It's amazing. I just think it's amazing for a young girl to be able to look beyond all the rejection and really try and think why, and then think, no, I'm pushing against this force. No, it's great. But you need to be a strong-minded person, and not a lot of people have something to hook on to. And that's where the Bible comes in, isn't it?
Yes, it does.
Did you
Sorry?
I was going to say, tell me about your faith. Did that ever come into, was that ever an anchor for you?
Yes. I went through so many stages in life with my faith, because when I was younger, I did almost lose one of my parents, and that was, I mean, he was in a coma and things for a long time, and then a lot of other things started to happen. I won't speak on too much, but those times were very challenging for me, and I got angry at God. I got very angry because I didn't understand why this was happening. And obviously I was younger as well. I didn't have the same perspective I do now, but I was just really angry. So I was like, no, I'm not a fan anymore. Leave me alone. And I strayed away, and I just went rebelling for a bit in my teenage life. And then it always comes back. There's always something. I even had this part of the scripture tattooed when I was younger. I shouldn't have. But it was from Hebrews 11 verse 1.
About faith.
Again, that's why I said that's been an anchor all the way through, because anytime I have a moment of doubt or anything, I always look at that same tattoo and I remember why I got it. I remember why I needed reminding at the time. Because I was so angry about everything, and I remembered why it brought me back to that place of faith, why it brought me back to the place of understanding. And so and because my family is from 2 different islands, and so they have 2 different religions on both sides. My Jamaican side of the family is Christian, and my St. Lucia side of the family is raised Catholic. So I was always an in between, soaking up knowledge where you could kind of, and I found for myself, for me, it's all about my connection with God and to speak openly with God and be myself and understand and listen.
Yeah.
So it was a case of listening to, again, my natural pull, where I'm being pulled to go, and not trying to direct it myself, more so flow with where I'm being led.
But that's what's so amazing about creative people, the ability to search within and really listen and try and flow with, flowing with the tide as such. Get it? With the tide.
I see what you did there.
That's the name of her new single, Tide. But we'll talk about that later.
Yes.
And that's the blessing, actually, because then you're really able to tune in and hear from God. Do you know they actually connect the ministry of music with prophecy? Did you know that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sounds right to me.
Being able to hear from God, that ruach word of God, or that rhema of God. It's that's the reason why. Okay, so we've heard a little bit of you and the freestyling. I know you were going to sing, and that would have been amazing. I would really appreciate that. Then we can talk about your influences afterwards.
Yeah, that's fine. What, do you want to sing now?
Yes, please.
I would have played and sang for you, but because everything's set up, I didn't want to just have my back to you go playing on the. So I'm just going to sing a little freestyle, a little a cappella for you.
Wonderful, thank you.
No worries. Well, you'll get it from the lyrics, but this is called Freedom. And I wrote it many, many, many years ago, and I've actually never released it, but for times like this, it's perfect. So.
Wow.
Let's have a sip of tea.
Yeah, you do that. I'll do mine as well. There you go. Thank you. There you go.
Yep. Cannot help the way the world is turning in a one direction. I'm moving on today because I want to be surrounded by the sounds of freedom in my life. With only good to be precise. Hold on to your faith. It's the only thing that's gonna lead you the right way. All I want is to be like a dove flying without anybody holding my wings. Now I look and I see on a different tip what is unfolding in front of me. Now I live indifferently, fulfilling all the truth inside me, and I want you to feel what I'm feeling, but only naturally. Yes.
Woo! Absolutely quality. Thank you
so much. It's morning, so
I know, you were so fabulous. What would you be like if you didn't have any of that? Oh my goodness. Okay, so tell me about your influences, your musical influences, what that has brought you to where you are now. Hear what's going on in your voice.
So many. I am probably the most eclectic person. So there has been no lack of real inspiration when it comes to my voice. I love all kinds of different genres and soul artists and gospel artists and jazz musicians and singers. Like your Billie Holidays and Ella Fitzgerald, Jill Scott, Erykah Badu, Karen Clark Sheard and Dorinda Sheard and all the Sheard sisters, pretty much. And so many. And again, my island music, soca and reggae and zouk. I love music. So I wouldn't even know where to begin. But artists like Bob Marley are someone who I feel like got a really great cross between the kind of commercial world as well as the spiritual world, and just uplifting people with his voice and his words and his music and uniting. So he's someone I just got a picture of him over there. It's someone that I always look to in terms of how he was able to create, join the masses basically, and people of all kinds of different races. And at the time when he was around, there's a lot of discrimination. Yet people would come together to see him.
Yes, they did.
That is powerful, very, very powerful, and it's almost Jesus-like in itself as well. Again, bringing people together. So that, I would say, is a massive influence in terms of what I aim to do, and in the future even more so, create that kind of a link where everyone, it doesn't matter, because everyone comes together just to see this one person, or just to hear what they have to say. I feel inspired.
Yeah, and there's a power in unity, isn't there? When people come together as one and unite as one, that is love. And once we have that as a fantastic foundation, because it says you can preach, you can do all sorts of different things, but if you don't have love, it's just noise, isn't it? It's the essence. It's the essence of what God is. He is love. What I really thought was interesting when you mentioned that, one of your parents was a Christian, the other one was a Catholic, and there were different, influences around, but you just wanted to find God and, and hear from him and have that communication, because at the end of the day, when you strip away culture, when you strip away religion, that is really what we want, isn't it? We just want God.
With God.
And that's all we need.
Yes.
We don't need politics. We don't need culture. And we don't need indoctrination and control of religion. We
just need a connection that is strong, that we understand. Because again, that connection is going to be different for every individual person.
That's it.
But as long as you have it and it's strong and you have faith in yourself and believe.
Yeah. And having that strong faith in God as well. Communication. Amazing. Okay, so now let's shift over to the theater. The acting skills. Okay, so now what I really, I was watching your production, The Mad Hatter. And I came to, because I didn't really know too much about the storyline and in depth what it was really about. But I did like, one of the things that I noticed, that it was really, looking into the mind and, conceptions of reality, and also looking at misconceptions of oneself and the world and other people as well. So do you want to talk us a little bit about what it's about, and then we can watch a clip, or would you like to watch a clip back? Either way.
No, I can say a little bit very quickly. I was part of the cast for this show, so it was cool to be a part of the process, but the director really had the vision and created this whole idea based on Alice in Wonderland. Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland. And so the Royal Opera House had approached her to create a piece, and she wanted to explore the minds behind the characters that we all know and love. So the Queen of Hearts and Alice, the Cheshire Cat and the White Rabbit, and all these characters that we've seen throughout growing up and stuff, and what makes them mad. Why are they mad? Why are they all like this? What are their issues? So she related to actual mental issues that people suffer with today. And then we explored that in a creative way. So it was kind of not too much in depth, but enough to make a point, but also not enough to show to an audience of any age, from children to grandparents to anyone that can kind of understand it, but also with a bit of fun and in a way of, everyone had different issues. So like, for example, the White Rabbit suffered with OCD, which is the reason why he's always late. So why is he always late? I'm late. He's always late because he has OCD and he always has to clean everything how many times, and he can never leave the house, and things like that. So it was a really fun show, actually, with a bit of a deeper meaning, but done in a fun, light-hearted way.
I like it. I like the whole idea. As you know, that I wrote a book on the mind, and so it really does, it relates to me so much, because actually I remember as a child watching Alice in Wonderland and questioning reality, because it's everything's so surreal in that, isn't there? And I think to myself, what is reality? And we really think through it. But sometimes people can get lost in there's a lot of things at the moment that could make us question our reality, doesn't it? As the Greek philosopher said, know thyself. It's good for us to know. And sometimes you can know through looking into other people's, other characters and scenarios, and getting to understand. So let's watch a little bit about it. And you're the voice, aren't you, in the background? We're going to hear
voice throughout this.
You're the voice, you're the singer, you're that beautiful town in the background. So let's listen to it. It's a promo of a Mad Hatter. Enjoy.
And remember, Normal is as normal does as normal should be, and ever more normal shall it be so. You can handle that, doctor, can't you? Can't you?
He offered no suggestion.
Now, allow me to introduce Dr. Helvetica, Dr. Jill Sands, Dr. Monaco, Dr. Beduni, and this
Offered only lies. It could be twice as nice. It could be paradise, but no, you don't know what it's like for me. Talking and a clicking going on in my brain. Various occasions that I cannot explain. You tell me I am clinically insane. Hold me back, you know you're gonna have to restrain me. Oh, don't you know that I just wanna fit in? Think you have to notify my next of kin. Be back to normal, please, once and for all. Before I take my final protocol. Oh no. Oh yeah. Help me, please. Oh no. Oh yeah. 'Cause I don't wanna fall. I don't wanna fall. I don't wanna fall. I don't wanna fall. Catch me if I fall.
Woo! Awesome.
That's a fun show, I tell
Yeah.
you. And everyone has the opportunity of seeing me get pied in the face. It's great.
But near the end.
Yeah.
So how did you get into acting? How did you get into theatre?
I actually went to a drama school when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I was always doing kind of like shows and stuff from then, to be fair.
Yeah.
And when I was dancing, so I used to do dance, ballet, tap, gymnastics, and drama
Yeah.
from quite young. And then I started going for auditions, and that's when I started to get told no. But it was basically through my drama school as a kid, as everyone, you know, all kids go to a drama school.
Yeah.
And I did not go to a fancy schmancy school or anything like that.
Yeah.
It was just a little drama theatre school that I attended, and it got me into the process of auditions. And then I went out on my own and started going to auditions. And I never had an agent until recently, this whole time of my career. So I've pretty much done it all by myself. And I realised you have to be seen. So I went to a lot of open calls and open auditions. And then I started to get to see directors that way, and then they started to recognize my face and know my voice, and then I started to get phone calls. So it built, a lot of it is word of mouth. I'm very old school in the way I operate. It's quite funny, but it works. So.
What advice would you give to a young girl out there, somebody who's really trying to get into the industry, don't know where to start, don't know, what would be the one main crucial advice that you think that would really stand them in good stead in their career?
Be honest with yourself, but don't let other people's opinions affect what you believe.
Yeah.
That would be the main thing.
Yeah.
Because as I said at the beginning, it's really easy for someone to deter you from your path or to shut you down, but it's the power we give out when we allow that to happen. So if we have that power within ourselves and say, you know what, I hear you, but I decline respectfully, I will push forward and do what I do. But also you have to be honest with yourself, because if something isn't working or for too long, or if you're too challenged, sometimes the challenges are things you need to overcome in order to push through that barrier. And sometimes they're showing you that you need to change direction. It's just a case of listening and really that's why you have to be honest with yourself to know which way to go, basically. So I would say to them to have faith in themselves, have faith in God, have faith in themselves, have the understanding that whatever is for them will be for them. And wherever it's for you is for you, and it will work.
The thing is, sometimes people have an idea of where they want to go, but you know, the reality actually takes you, well, you know, circumstances and the doors that do open can sometimes lead you in a different direction. What do you think about that? Do you think that is a good thing, because actually that's revealing that is where you're meant to have been? Or, what do you think? Or has that happened to you before?
Yes. Like when I had to make my decision whether I wanted to go with performing arts, which is where my heart was, or go with things that I was interested in, which was forensics and law and stuff.
Yeah.
I had to follow my heart. I had to listen. And that's what I mean when you get pulled in a different direction sometimes. Like, for example, I always saw, when I was really young, I always saw myself as being like a singing star, like, Britney Spears or Beyonce or something along those lines. Turns out, as I was growing up, I don't like fame. There's certain things I don't like about it, but I understand that it's part and parcel. But then I got pulled to, from the age of 17, I started teaching. Teaching dance and helping assist in things, and then I started to coach and I've been coaching kids and young people and just theatre actors, all kinds of different creatives now. And I feel like there's really something in that my spirit gets fed when I'm feeding others. So when I'm teaching and when I'm doing these things, it actually is also a part. It gets fed in every way, shape, and form. And there are many, many things to still happen. And I do believe this life is limitless. So a year from now, who knows what could happen? But I do feel like when you get that pull and you listen, if you go with it, there's no turning back. And sometimes it can seem like a negative thing if it's not what you want or what you wanted or what you were so fixated on. But if you allow yourself to let that in and see how that does for you, then you don't know it could work. And if it doesn't, that's okay, because you can just go back to what you were doing or try a different approach. And sometimes these things come to give us another perspective. Sometimes they come to show us how much we really do want to do the thing we were doing in the first place. By being challenged by doing something else. And sometimes it's there to show you that you do need to do something else. It's all about, I believe we are like filters. All the information of the world and from the Bible, from media, from everything in the world, it comes in and we filter what, the good bits and the bad bits out, just like we do when we eat food. And I feel like that, having that process and just being in tune with that process will give you good direction in where you want to go and what you're trying to do.
Yes, I love that analysis, where you talked about being a filter, and it goes through you, and then you kind of decipher which is the one you want and which is the one you don't want. And of course, just like the body, when you eat stuff, we drink water to cleanse us and help us with that filtering process. And that's, I see that. As you said that, I was just imagining the Holy Spirit, that when we have a bit of the Holy Spirit that comes with us, it helps us to filter properly and cleanse out the toxic. It helps us to deal with toxicity.
A lot better.
Clearing, so that we can actually be able to have just the good stuff that builds us, nourishes us, and takes us from glory to glory. Because it's difficult, isn't it? When you're looking at things with your natural perception, how do you know what's right and wrong?
You don't sometimes, and then you can go in. Sometimes your thoughts, because thoughts are another part, and thoughts can take over sometimes, and that might not be how you're feeling, but your thought can almost influence how you're feeling. If that makes sense, which changes that as well. So it's just keeping that strength of listening, and following, and taking that direction. And it's not easy, but I tell you,
I think it's easy as time goes by. It's practice, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's practice. And you've obviously, been practicing for a good amount of time. We can see the results. The results are manifesting, darling. Don't worry about it.
They are. It's true.
Okay, so you recently moved on, and I noticed that you did, this is great, the fact that you don't stick to one thing. You've got one door that might slightly be ajar, another door that might close over here, but at least you're limitless, so you do other things as well. And you've moved on recently, done a bit of composing, haven't you? Composing on a short film.
Yes, I have. And that's another element of stuff that I really love and enjoy, because sound has always been very important.
Yes.
And I notice it first. When you're watching something, if you mute it, you notice there's a bit of a difference in the build-up or the suspense or the in Jaws or anything. If you mute it, it's not scary anymore. If you mute it, you're not sad. It's not all lovey-dovey anymore. Or it's the sound that kind of helps drive the visual, and together they come together and, you know, create something. So one of my really, really amazing soul sisters had an idea to create a short film, and she called it Reflection the Mind. And so it was all her concept, it was all her idea, but she came to me for the sound. And I was like, oh, this marriage is going to be amazing, because I could just, because I understood her, I could kind of feel the direction of where to go. And then when you start looking at the visuals, the feeling just came over me almost. And one of our friends was with us one day and suggested something, and I said, you know what, I'm going to just create. And so I started creating, and then when we put the two together, it was just beautiful in terms of the movement, and it's very progressive, it's slow, it's orchestral, it's not really got a genre to say that it's like an R&B piece of music, or you know, it's not anything like that. It's just orchestral music that just supports the vision of what she wanted to reflect, which was about the struggles that we have in our mind, and the fact that negative thoughts come in a lot, and if we feed them, they take over without a shadow of a doubt. And it's a case of acknowledging them and looking at them head on and saying, hey, you don't belong here.
Yes.
Move on. You know, where did you come from? I didn't ask you for today. Why are you that's the thought you want to keep. You know, but the negative ones you want to get rid of, and you don't want to empower them. So we collaborated on that, but it's her vision, my thoughts, but my sound, and coming together to kind of create that from her narrative was just I love it.
And that pushing back of negative thoughts is a bit like binding and casting, isn't it? Yes. You're saying it's prayer. You're pushing internally the negative, and you're pulling the positive. Yeah. You're dispelling the lies.
Yeah.
It's truth. And that is prayer. It is. It's that's what it's all about, and I love it. I love it. So we're gonna watch a bit of that now.
Yeah, amazing.
This is called The Mind. It's Sheree Dubois' composition, you know, on a short film, a short indie film, and it's her narrative interpretation, musical narrative interpretation. Musical narrative interpretation of The Mind.
Wrong video.
Thoughts now in full swing. They start to separate you from the outside world, holding you captive, imprisoned within your own mind.
Hi,
Yay,
welcome back. Welcome back. That's an awesome film, and I love the music. It's very subtle and very, very moving and very powerful, actually. So tell us about that project before we've got like 5 minutes left. So let's just quickly talk about that.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
anything else that you're doing currently?
yeah, that project was amazing. And again, it's beautiful because at the end, she's like, she found the light. She stopped. The thoughts are not taking over anymore. Yay! I'm actually, that was an Arts Council project itself. I think done with Black Gold Arts as well. I'm actually currently working on one now. In the just before the R&D phase, which is where you go out and research and develop your idea, and get people in and start to develop on stuff. And I'm working on something at the moment that I'm either going to call I'm Possible, but spelled as impossible, and then you use the play on that to be I am possible, meaning that all the things that again that we've spoken about today, and challenges that people have, can actually be the things that are your cons or perceived as your cons can become your pros.
Yes.
And I want to play on that idea of ailments and things or disabilities or things that are seen as not normal or not, desirable, to actually make them the feature of something.
Yes.
And I just want to really explore that idea and kind of uplift people with that instead of, because I'm possible and impossible are exactly the same spelling. The difference is an apostrophe and a space. So something can seem impossible, but if you just add an apostrophe and a space between the two, it becomes I'm possible. And
there you go.
Right. So it's that play on words, and I like to, do that with certain things. So I'm currently writing up my plans for the Arts Council for one of those shows that I will actually be creating myself, which is awesome. So not just being part of it or as a cast member, but actually a director role myself and creating it myself, creative director, which is really exciting. And then I get to work with all the people I love and all my fellow colleagues to bring vision to life. So that's really, really exciting.
You see, that's the thing. It just shows there's two sides to every single coin. Two sides. Where you're talking about the possible and impossible and the change in play on words and all of that sort of thing. And here you are in a position now where you flipped it over. You're the one in control now.
Yes. Which is
that's it. That's the other side. And that's the thing. Joy comes in the morning. Weeping may endure for the night, but joy comes in the morning. There's always another side. You go through. We don't back out. We don't get scared and run away. No. You got to go through it, don't you?
You have to.
Yeah.
Broke kneecaps and all. You just keep going. You keep going. You don't let anything stop you ever.
Yeah. Once your hand's in the plow, you don't turn back. We move on. Yeah, upwards and forwards, always. Irrespective of how much you got to push against those glass ceilings, we do it. We crack it open.
We have to.
Excellent. You know what I like here? The description. The description that you had of yours, that you said a non-conformist, a peaceful rebel, a warrior of lights. We know that one. A peaceful rebel.
Yes. You can. Okay, a peaceful rebel for me is someone who makes noise in a peaceful way.
Yeah.
So it's okay. You don't, if we don't make noise, sometimes we're not heard.
Yes.
And so we must make noise in order to be heard, or we must do something against the grain. Yeah. For me, that's being rebellious, but in a good way. So I peg the peaceful rebel because it's not just running around out here like creating anarchy, but actually, what can we do that's bringing awareness to something? What can we say that's shedding light on certain situations that shouldn't be kept in the dark? Because we need to make change, and in order to do so, we have to go against the grain and speak about the taboo things or the things that we're not supposed to speak about. Because look at what's happening in society right now. So many things are coming to light. And so, as you say, the truth sets us free. So that they have to be confronted head on. You cannot run away from these things. You have to have the strength to do that.
And somebody has to speak up.
Yes.
And somebody has to be brave enough. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Sheree, for joining me. I really appreciate it. And I've learned so much. And I believe that people out there have learned as well. And
hope so.
going to keep on learning as they listen and play back this video and this show, So thank you so much. You really have blessed us with your time.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. It's been absolutely fun. I was so nervous this morning.
Well, you're not nervous now.
No, not at all.
And I know you've got your single out there, Tide. We can go to your page. What's your page called?
My way. Well, my @ sign is Dubois Sheree, which is my name, but just my last name first and my first name second. And my artist name is just my last name Dubois, which means of the wood, actually, which is quite funny, actually, because my name in French means darling of the wood. So it's like George of the jungle, but I'm the darling of the woods, apparently. So, but yeah, the song is called Tide, and I released that a while ago, actually. But I do have new things coming out very soon. Just waiting for some confirmation from labels and producers and stuff. And so, but that song I love that song also because it also has a double meaning. So have a listen.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much, and hopefully we'll see you on the show again soon.
Yes, definitely. Thank you for having me. Take care.
Okay, then. Okay. Blessings. Bye. Okay, and that's the end of the show. Sad to say, I was having such a good time, but that is the end of the show. And okay, so look forward to Monday. Monday we have a Limitless Extra, where we're going to be having Sarah Tybo coming on the show to talk about her new track and some of the different things that she's been working on. So I want you to join me 7 p.m. for Limitless Extra right here. God bless you. Bye.